Today we'll be working in my workbook called The Family of Abraham, which covers Genesis chapter 19, verse 30 through chapter 25, verse 18. And then when we look at the table of contents, we've already done the first two chapters where Lot and his daughters move up in the mountains, and we have the start of the nations of Moab and the Ammon. And then we have in chapter 2 where Abraham moves to the area of Gerar and passes his wife off as his sister again and causes great commotion. So now we're going to go to chapter 3, which is the tale of two sons. A tale of two sons, Genesis 21, 1 through 21. Genesis 21, 1. Now the Lord was gracious to Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah what he had promised. Sarah became pregnant and bore a son to Abraham in his old age, at the very time God had promised him. How old is Abraham at this time? Abraham is 100 years of age. How old is Sarah at this time? She is therefore 90 because she's 10 years younger. How old was Abraham when he got the call from God after his father died? He was 75 years of age. Genesis 12:4. Let's go ahead and read that. Genesis 12, 1, 2, and 4. The Lord had said to Abram, go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you. I'll make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. So Abram went as Lord had told him, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he set out for Haran. So do the math. So that means how long for the child of promise that would start the great nation told in Genesis 12 did Abraham have to wait for? So he is now 100, he was 75, so 25 years from the time that God had called him and said he'd be a great nation with many descendants before he actually had the child of promise. Why did God wait so long to fulfill his promise? He's waiting for the right time. Everything is in its own time. And he also waited for both Sarah and Abraham to be beyond childbearing age so they would know truly this was a child of God and nobody else. Okay. That's my belief anyway. You may come up with something else. Okay. And I have also here a scripture below that maybe I'll be using soon, or otherwise it's just information. Genesis 17, 17 through 19. Oh, Abraham fell face down. He laughed and said to himself, will a son be born to a man 100 years old? Will Sarah bear a child at the age of 90? And Abraham said to God, if only Ishmael might live under your blessing. Then God said, yes, but your wife Sarah will bear you a son, and you will call him Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his descendants after him. Okay, so the scriptures continue. Genesis 21:3. Abraham gave the name Isaac to the son Sarah bore him. When his son Isaac was 8 days old, Abraham circumcised him as God had commanded him. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. Why did Abraham name him Isaac? Because God had told him what the name was. I'm moving my answers here. Anyway. The name Isaac means one who laughs. Notice all the times Isaac brought laughter already. Genesis 17:17. Abraham fell face down, he laughed and said to himself, would a son be born to a man 100 years old? Will Sarah bear a child at the age of 90? Genesis 18:12. So Sarah laughed to herself as she thought, after I'm worn out, my Lord is old, and now I have this pleasure? And Genesis 21:6. Sarah said, God has brought me laughter, and everyone who hears about this will laugh with me. So his name meaning laughter is one who laughs is definitely appropriate. What did Abraham do when Isaac was 8 days old? He circumcised him. Did God command this to be done? Absolutely. Throughout Abraham's life, we have seen him faithful to God and not faithful to God. Was Isaac given to Abraham and Sarah because they were faithful, or because God promised no matter their level of faith, or a mixture of both? I would say it's a mixture of both. God promised, and so therefore he never denies his promises. He also it's a promise somewhat conditional to Abraham being faithful. Abraham wasn't always faithful, but God still follows through with his promise. 5, are there some things God does for us even though our faith is small? Oh, absolutely. Many times he protects us even though our faith is small. How much faith do we need for him to work in our lives? Well, not much. The more, the better, but not much. The scriptures continue. Now Sarah said, God has brought laughter for me. Everyone who hears will laugh with me. And she said, who would ever have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children, yet have borne him a son in his old age? So she's probably going to nurse him as well, which really means a rejuvenation of her body. The scriptures continue. The child grew and was weaned, and on the day Isaac was weaned, Abraham held a great feast. Weaning generally means no longer breastfeeding, and this is believed to be 2 to 3 years of age. This would mean Abraham is 102 to 103 years of age, and Sarah is 92 to 93, and Ishmael would be about 15 to 16 years of age. How old would Isaac have been when he was weaned? About 2 to 3 years of age. I know that seems strange to us, but that's normal there. What did Abraham do when Isaac was weaned? He had a party, he had a great feast. Weaning ceremonies and the time that a child is weaned is an important time in Jewish culture. High infant mortality rates existed in ancient cultures. One reason for large families was the fact that many young children did not live to adulthood. Because of the risks that infants faced, the celebration of a child's weaning was a natural and important part of the culture. If a child had developed past the need for physical support of a mother, then he or she had reached a new age of life that greatly increased the likelihood of good health. Another important child of the Bible had a significant event once he was weaned. Let's read 1 Samuel 1:22. Hannah did not go. She said to her husband, after the boy is weaned, I will take him and present him before the Lord, and he will live there always. Do what seems best to you, her husband Elkanah told her. Stay here until you've weaned him. Only may the Lord make good his word. So the woman stayed at home and nursed her son until she had weaned him. After he was weaned, he took the boy with her, young as he was, along with a 3-year-old bull, an ephah of flour, and a skin of wine, and brought him to the house of the Lord at Shiloh. When the bull had been sacrificed, they brought the boy to Eli, and she said to him, pardon me, my lord, as surely as you live, I am the woman who stood here beside you praying to the Lord. I prayed for this child, and the Lord has granted me what I asked of him. So now I give him to the Lord, for his whole life he will be given over to the Lord. So another child was Samuel himself. The scriptures continue. Genesis 21:9. But Sarah saw that the son whom Hagar the Egyptian had borne to Abraham was mocking. And she said to Abraham, get rid of that slave woman and her son, for that woman's son will never share in the inheritance with my son Isaac. The matter distressed Abraham greatly because it concerned his son. He had love for Ishmael. What was Ishmael doing? Mocking Isaac. Probably like normal brothers would, I expect. How old was Ishmael at this time? Probably 15. What did Sarah want Abraham to do regarding Hagar and Ishmael? Push them out. Get rid of them. Why did Sarah want this to happen? Because she did not want Ishmael to share in any inheritance that Isaac had. How did Abraham feel about what Sarah had demanded? It distressed him greatly. Who should Abraham take this problem to? He should take it to God. Do you think Abraham will turn to God for this? Why or why not? Well, he should. I don't know that he will. He hasn't done a lot of that, but he should. Are we supposed to bring our problems, big and small, to God? Definitely. Definitely. He will help us in our solution of problems. The scriptures continue. Genesis 21:12. But God said to him, Do not be so distressed about the boy and your slave woman. Listen to whatever Sarah tells you, because it is through Isaac that your offspring will be reckoned. I will make the son of the slave into a nation also, because he is your offspring. We don't see Abraham asking, but God is giving him advice. So we have to assume Abraham asked help from God. Does God tell Abraham to follow through with what Sarah wants or to ignore her request? At this time, he says to accept what she requests, do what she says. What is the reason that God agrees with Sarah? Hmm. Isaac will be the one that of promise. But Abraham is not to worry about Ishmael. Why? That the son of the slave will become a great nation as well. Why is God making a great nation from Ishmael too? Because he is Abraham's offspring. Ishmael becomes the father of the Arabic nation. According to the scripture from Genesis 17 below, we already know how many sons Ishmael will have. How many will there be? Genesis 17:20. And as for Ishmael, I have heard you. I will surely bless him. I'll make him fruitful and will greatly increase his numbers. He will be the father of 12 rulers, and I'll make him into a great nation. Genesis 21:14. Early the next morning, Abraham took some food and a skin of water and gave them to Hagar. He set them on her shoulders and then sent her off with the boy. She went on her way and wandered into the desert of Beersheba. You see the map there. We have Gerar about up there, and we see where Beersheba is. How soon did Abraham do what God said? The next morning. What did Abraham supply them with? A skin of water and some food. Isn't Abraham wealthy? Absolutely. So why such a minimum amount of food? I would guess because he knew that God would protect her and take care of her, and she's the only one that can carry it, perhaps. Where did Hagar travel to? The desert of Beersheba. Actually, there's no desert of Beersheba. Beersheba is on the northern edge of the Negev desert, but Beersheba would not even be named until the next chapter. It's probably around the area that the city will be in place. Draw a line from Gerar to Beersheba. Okay, we'll do that. Draw a line from Gerar, Beersheba. There you go. How old is Ishmael again? Probably 15. What is the name of the brook that wanders through that area? Bezor Brook. So the scriptures continue. Genesis 21:15. When the water in the skin was gone, she put the boy under one of the bushes. Then she went off and sat down about a bow shot away, for she thought, I cannot watch the boy die. And as she sat there, she began to sob. Did Hagar run out of water? Yes. Where did Hagar leave Ishmael? Under one of the bushes, which wouldn't have been many near the Negev desert. How far did she walk away from Ishmael? A bow shot away. A bow shot distance is literally how far an arrow can be shot, which is about a half a mile. Why did Hagar go this far away? She didn't want to watch the boy die. Once she got this distance, what did she do? She sat there and began to sob. Although she wasn't traveling this way initially, she is probably attempting to walk back home. Where is home? Egypt. Who did she meet the first time she went into the desert when she was pregnant? The angel of the Lord. Right. So the scriptures continue. Genesis 21:17. God heard the boy crying, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, What is the matter, Hagar? Do not be afraid. God has heard the boy crying as he lies there. Lift the boy up and take him by the hand, for I'll make him into a great nation. Did God hear Hagar or Ishmael crying? He heard Ishmael crying. Why is it Ishmael, not Hagar, that God hears? Because Ishmael is related to Abraham. That's my opinion. The first thing that the angel tells Hagar is what? Don't be afraid. What is the second thing the angel assures Hagar? God has heard the boy and I will make him into a great nation. Would what the angel said tend to mean that at least Ishmael makes it to safety? Of course. Since Ishmael is not yet of an age that he can take care of himself, does this then mean that Hagar should make it to safety as well? Yes. Scriptures continue. Genesis 21:19. Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. So she went and filled the skin with water and gave the boy a drink. God was with the boy as he grew up. He lived in the desert, became an archer. While he was living in the desert of Paran, his mother got a wife from him from Egypt. What did Hagar see? She saw a well of water. How did Hagar see this when she didn't see it before? God opened her eyes to see it. What does it mean that God opened her eyes? He made her aware. He sh- made her look someplace. He made her aware, basically. What skill did Ishmael possess as he grew older? He became an archer. Circle the wilderness of Paran. Okay, circle the wilderness of Paran. And we have, oh shoot. Oops, that won't work. No fill. There you go. Where did Hagar get a wife from? Egypt. Note the wilderness of Paran, also known as the desert of Paran, will be where the Israelites will go when they leave Mount Sinai for the promised land in Numbers 10:11 through 12. So now we come to the end of the chapter. Let's see if we can fill out this crossword. Okay. What was the name of Abraham's new son? Isaac. Number 4, I will make a nation out of Ishmael too, because he is your offspring. He is your son, but he's also your offspring. Okay. 6, Abraham was 100 years old when Isaac was born. Number 7, Sarah was upset because Ishmael was mocking Isaac. Number 9, Hagar wandered into the desert of Beersheba. 2 down, when Isaac was 8 days old, Abraham circumcised him. 3, Sarah bore a son to Abraham. 5, on the day that Isaac was weaned, Abraham held a great feast. Abraham gave Hagar and Ishmael food and a skin of water. 9, God heard the boy crying. Okay, so that's the end of this chapter. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.